Welcome to Shiko, Beyond the Dot, where we challenge expectations, break barriers, and explore how women and the world are redefining leadership, careers, and equality. I'm your host, Shreya, and today's topic is a deeply personal one. It's about something that has shaped so much of my life: the good girl syndrome. It's that constant need to be agreeable, accommodating, and selfless, to put others first, even at the cost of your own happiness and well being. If this resonates with you, know that you're not alone. And most importantly, know that it's possible to break free from it. Today, I'm sharing my journey of unlearning the good girl syndrome, identifying how it controlled my life, and the steps I took to reclaim my boundaries and my worth. Growing up, I was that girl, the one who never said no, the one who volunteered for everything, the one who would rather exhaust herself than let someone else down. It wasn't just about being nice, it was about being liked, accepted, and seen as capable. Somewhere along the way, I'd learned that my worth was tied to how much I could do for others. It started small, helping classmates with their assignments, even when I did not have the time, but it snowballed into adulthood. I said yes to everything: extra responsibilities at work, last minute favors from friends and family, demands that left no room for myself. I remember a specific incident during my first job. I had a colleague who constantly asked for my help. At first, I didn't mind, but soon it became a pattern. This colleague would offload their task onto me with a smile, saying, "You're so good at this. I know you don't mind helping." And I didn't say no. I did not want to be rude or seem unhelpful. But when things went wrong, guess who got blamed? Me. They would conveniently disappear when it was time to take accountability. I felt betrayed, exhausted, and worst of all, invisible, because no one even recognized the extra work I was doing. People pleasing isn't about kindness, it is about fear: fear of rejection, fear of not being good enough, fear of disappointing others. And that fear was running my life. Once I started looking, I saw the pattern everywhere. People who took advantage of my inability to say no, friends who would call only when they needed something, colleagues who piled work on me because they knew I wouldn't push back. The truth is, some people thrive on exploiting people pleasers. They will keep taking as long as you keep giving, and the longer you let it happen, the harder it becomes to stop. I had to ask myself some tough questions. Why was I so afraid to set boundaries? Why did I care so much about what people thought of me? And most importantly, why was I surrounding myself with people who didn't respect me? That's when I realized it wasn't just about learning to say no. It was also about unlearning the belief that I had to earn my place in people's lives through constant self sacrifice. One of the hardest but most necessary steps I took was identifying the people who were perpetuating this behavior and distancing myself from them. They were a so called friend who always expected me to drop everything for them but would disappear the moment I needed support. Every interaction left me drained, but I kept making excuses for them. Oh, they're just going through a tough time. But the truth is, it was always a tough time for them because they made it my responsibility. Letting go of people like that wasn't easy. There were awkward conversations, and guilt, and some tears. But over time, I realized that keeping those relationships wasn't kindness, it was self betrayal. When I started distancing myself from toxic people, something amazing happened. I created space for healthy, supportive relationships. I surrounded myself with people who respected my boundaries, valued my time, and didn't see my worth as transactional. Breaking free from people pleasing isn't a one time decision. It's a daily practice. Here are few things that worked for me. Setting small boundaries. If saying no feels impossible, start with small things. For example, if someone asks you to do something you don't want to, say, "Let me think about it." This gives you time to evaluate whether it aligns with your priorities. Stop over explaining. One of my biggest habits was over explaining why I couldn't do something. And even today, I struggle with that. But you don't owe anyone a detailed explanation for your boundaries. A simple "I can't take that on right now" is enough. Recognizing manipulation tactics. Be mindful of phrases like "you're so good at this" or "I knew I could count on you." Compliments can be used as tools to guilt you into compliance. Learn to spot the difference between genuine appreciation and manipulation. Reframe rejection. Saying no isn't selfish, it's self care. When you say no to something that drains you are saying yes to something that nourishes you. Seek coaching or support. My coach helped me unpack why I felt the need to people please and guided me in rebuilding my sense of self worth. If coaching isn't an option, lean on friends who empower you to prioritize yourself. Celebrating small wins. Every time you set a boundary, acknowledge it, journal it. Celebrate the fact that you're reclaiming your power. Unlearning the good girl syndrome has been one of the hardest journeys of my life, but also the most rewarding. It has taught me that I don't need to earn my worth through endless self sacrifice. I don't need to say yes to everything to be loved or respected. And here is what I want you to take away: you are allowed to set boundaries, you are allowed to say no, and you are allowed to prioritize yourself without apology. When you let go of people pleasing, you don't lose kindness, you find authenticity. And that's where the real connection and fulfillment comes from. Thank you for joining me on today's episode of Shiko. If this story resonated with you, I'd love to hear from you. Share your experiences, your struggles, and your wins. Until next time, take care of yourself and keep setting those boundaries.